بے کسی کا شہ کی چرچا رہ گیا، بے کسی کا شہ کی چرچا رہ گیا، مجرئی مہمان پیاسا رہ گیا، بے کسی کا شہ کی چرچا رہ گیا، سب ہوئے سیراب تجھ سے اے فرات، سب ہوئے سیراب تجھ سے اے فرات، قافلہ یثرب کا پیاسا رہ گیا، قافلہ یثرب کا پیاسا رہ گیا، ظہر تک سب فوج پہنچی خلد میں، ظہر تک سب فوج پہنچی خلد میں، صاحب لشکر اکیلا رہ گیا، صاحب لشکر اکیلا رہ گیا، اور اس قدر تھا خشک حضرت کا گلا، اس قدر تھا خشک حضرت کا گلا، خنجر قاتل بھی پیاسا رہ گیا، خنجر قاتل بھی پیاسا رہ گیا، اور ڈگمگا کر جب گرے گھوڑے سے شاہ، ڈگمگا کر جب گرے گھوڑے سے شاہ، کانپ کر عرش معلا رہ گیا، مجرئی مہمان پیاسا رہ گیا، بے کسی کا شہ کی چرچا رہ گیا، اور کہتی تھی ماں سوئے اصغر قبر میں، کہتی تھی ماں سوئے اصغر قبر میں، ہائے خالی ان کا جھولا رہ گیا، ہائے خالی ان کا جھولا رہ گیا، اور زخم کھاتے ہی جو اکبر گر پڑے، زخم کھاتے ہی جو اکبر گر پڑے، چھد کے برچھی میں کلیجا رہ گیا، چھد کے برچھی میں کلیجا رہ گیا، اور جب ہوئی بے پردہ اولاد رسول، جب ہوئی بے پردہ اولاد رسول، پھر جہاں میں کس کا پردہ رہ گیا، پھر جہاں میں کس کا پردہ رہ گیا، مجرئی مہمان پیاسا رہ گیا، بے کسی کا شہ کی چرچا رہ گیا۔ بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات۔
خوشنودی پنجدن پاک بلندتر صلوات۔ بارے دیگر نعرہ صلوات۔ ایک چھوٹی سی لحد دیکھو بنا کر عابد، ایک چھوٹی سی لحد دیکھو بنا کر عابد، ایک چھوٹی سی لحد دیکھو بنا کر عابد، خون رویا ہے خون رویا ہے سکینہ کو سلا کر عابد، ایک چھوٹی سی لحد دیکھو بنا کر عابد، کیسے بابا نے اٹھایا تھا بدن اصغر کا، کیسے بابا نے اٹھایا تھا بدن اصغر کا، اٹھ نہ پایا ہے اٹھ نہ پایا ہے سکینہ کو اٹھا کر عابد، ایک چھوٹی سی پھول سے گالوں پہ کہتے ہیں تماچوں کے نشان، پھول سے گالوں پہ کہتے ہیں تماچوں کے نشان، کاش بابا کو ہے، کاش بابا کو دکھاتی میں بٹھا کر عابد، ایک چھوٹی سی لحد دیکھو بنا کر عابد، ایک کوہرام اٹھا روئے تڑپ کر مولا، ایک کوہرام اٹھا روئے تڑپ کر مولا، اماں زینب کو ہے، اماں زینب کو گلے اپنے لگا کر عابد، ایک چھوٹی سی لحد دیکھو بنا کر عابد، جس طرح سنتی تھی بابا سے یہ بی بی لوری، جس طرح سنتی تھی بابا سے یہ بی بی لوری، ایسے تلقین ہے، ایسے تلقین پڑھی شان ہلا کر عابد، ایک چھوٹی سی لحد دیکھو بنا کر عابد، دیکھ کر خون بھرے کرتے کو بدن سے چپکا، دیکھ کر خون بھرے کرتے کو بدن سے چپکا، گر گئے خاک پہ ہے، گر گئے خاک پہ یہ نوحہ سنا کر عابد، ایک چھوٹی سی لحد دیکھو بنا کر عابد، خون رویا ہے، خون رویا ہے سکینہ کو سلا کر عابد، ایک چھوٹی سی بر محمد وآل محمد صلوات۔
صلوات پر محمد
صلی علی محمد و آل محمد۔ بار دیگر نعرہ صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد
ہر چیز پہ آثار علم دیکھ رہے ہیں، ہر چیز پہ آثار علم دیکھ رہے ہیں، ہر آنکھ میں ہم گوہر غم دیکھ رہے ہیں، ہر آنکھ میں ہم گوہر غم دیکھ رہے ہیں، تصویر غم درد ہے کیا ماہ محرم، تصویر غم درد ہے کیا ماہ محرم، سب لوگ جو بادید نم دیکھ رہے ہیں، ہر چیز پہ آثار فاتحہ۔ اللہم صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم۔ رن میں جب شے کی طرف سے حر دیدار آیا، رن میں جب شے کی طرف سے حر دیدار آیا، کش بشاشت سے اڑاتا ہوا رہوار آیا، غل ہوا سید مظلوم کا غم خوار آیا، جان سارے خلف حیدر کرار آیا، جان سارے خلف حیدر کرار آیا، تتق نور سرے راہ نظر آتا ہے، جلوہ قدرت اللہ نظر آتا ہے، جلوہ قدرت اللہ نظر آتا ہے، یہ سخن سن کے پکارے پسر سعد شریف، ہاں طرف دار شہیدی پہ چلے نیزاوتی، لے کے حربوں کو بڑھا فوج کا انبو ہے کسی، ارے فاتحہ پڑھ کے جوان مرد نے کھینچی شمشیر، فاتحہ پڑھ کے جوان مرد نے کھینچی شمشیر، کا منہ سرخ ہوا فوج ستم زرد ہوئی، شعلہ تیغ سے بجلی کی چمک گرد ہوئی، شعلے تیز سے بجلی کی چمک گرد بڑھ کے فرماتے تھے عباس عزت ارے بارک اللہ کی دیتا تھا صدا دل برش کہتے تھے ابن حسن واہر غازی اور شاہ ہر ضرب پہ فرماتے تھے ماشاء اللہ شاہ ہر ضرب پہ فرماتے تھے ماشاء اللہ اپنی جاں بازی کا غازی جو صلہ پاتا تھا مسکراتا ہوا تسلیم کو جھک جاتا تھا مسکراتا ہوا تسلیم کو جھک جاتا تھا حیف جھکنے میں لعینوں نے جو پائی سامنا چھوڑ کے سب فوج عقب سے آئی لاکھ خوریز ادھر اور ادھر تنہائی ارے باغ گھوڑے کی پھراتا تھا کہ برچھی کھائی باغ گھوڑے کی پھراتا تھا کہ برچھی کھائی آ گیا موت کے پنجے میں نہ کچھ دیر لگی فرق پر گرز لگا دوش پہ شمشیر لگی ارے فرق پر گرز لگا دوش پہ شمشیر لگی ارے سینہ غربال ہوا تیر چلے آدھا کے رکھ دیا شیر نے کربوز پہ سر نے اڑا کے علی اکبر نے یہ حضرت سے کہا چلا کے گر ہو ارشاد تو مہمان کو بچا لوں جا کے گر ہو ارشاد تو مہمان کو بچا لوں جا کے خادم حضرت زہرا علی گرتا ہے خاک پر اوئی دے ازلی گرتا ہے ارے خاک پر او سعید ازلی گرتا ہے ارے شاہ رونے لگے یہ سنتے ہی مہمان کی خبر ہو گئی آنسوؤں سے ریش مبارک ستر علی اکبر سے کہا تم ابھی ٹھہرو دل ہر حر کی امداد کو ہم جائیں گے اے نور نظر حر کی امداد کو ہم جائیں گے اے نور نظر کسے اس وقت کہوں وہ جو قلق مجھ پر ہے لاش اٹھاؤں گا کہ مہمان کا حق مجھ پر ہے لاش اٹھاؤں گا کہ مہمان کا حق مجھ پر ہے رن میں جب شے کی طرف سے حر دیدار آیا
صلوات. Assalamu alaikum. First thing, as you heard Sean by, people are sitting by the bathroom in the shoes, so we request all of you to please move forward. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Brother Ali Hassan Ali from the Al Ain Foundation, which is an institution that provides Shia welfare services for the orphans and widows, would like to speak about their motives. Please welcome him with a loud salawat.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Ulama kiram, my elders, my brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum. My name is, as the brother introduced me, my name is Ali Hassan Ali. I am the immediate past president of the Al-Mahdi Islamic Center in Long Island, New York. I am also the current executive director of Al Ain Social Care Foundation, USA. Just wanted to brief you a little bit about the organization. Al Ain Social Care Foundation is an organization that was initiated by Sayyid Sistani himself in 2006. May Allah prolong his life. It was initiated in 2006 at the height of when ISIS was running rampant in Iraq. The initial goal of the organization was created to essentially make a documentation project of all the atrocities being committed. Obviously, a byproduct of all the atrocities were the orphan children that were created, and the mission quickly focused into taking care of these orphan children. Al Ain Social Care Foundation is an organization, it's not an orphanage. It is an organization that believes in empowering orphan children to thrive in the environment that they're living with their guardians. Some of these children are technically head of households now because of their parents have passed away, their fathers have passed away. And Al Ain's mission and vision is to ensure that that child has everything that they need to survive in life and to succeed in life, that their past should not dictate their future. And as you can imagine, some of these individuals have seen atrocities as bad as having their parents killed in front of their faces. And you can imagine the trauma that that goes with. Now, how do we do this? Is obviously we have, through supporters, we have sponsorship programs where an individual can sponsor an orphan child, whereby that sponsorship takes care of everything that child needs to essentially just focus on education. It takes care of their monthly stipend to run their household. So the mother doesn't have to worry about focusing on work. It takes care of the child's medical, dental, surgeries, everything that the child needs. In addition to all of that, we provide high quality healthcare, safe housing, educational and academic support. Now, obviously some children who reach the age of secondary education, some of them do not go further than that because a lot of trauma that they go through. Al Ain still does not want to leave them alone. They still want to make sure that these children land on their 2 feet and they have something as far as life skills are concerned to succeed in life. So what Al Ain does is we have vocational training centers all across Iraq right now. We have about 12 centers whereby these children are given life skills such as you can become a barber, you can become a hairstylist, you can become a chef, a pastry chef, a cell phone repair technician. And then once they graduate from these programs, they are introduced into the environment out there through either microfinancing loans, if they have entrepreneurial skills, or they're paired with a mentor in that field with proper employment as well. Now, these programs are, as of today, alhamdulillah, in Iraq, Al Ain has, through our supporters, sponsored 97,000 children. 97,000 children, Mu'minin. And in Afghanistan and Ghana, we are at about 600 children and quickly growing. How we operate and how we fund our services is, as I mentioned earlier, Sayyid Sistani had initiated this organization. He continues to maintain complete oversight over the organization, and he has blessed the organization with a full ijazah of every single religious dues you can think of that we are able to accept, whether it's khum, seme, imam, seme, sadat, sadaqah, whatever you can think of. Al-Ain has the blessing of Sayyid Sistani on that. In addition to all of that, Al-Ain has the further support of Sayyid Sistani to have 100% of everything you donate go directly to that orphan child and the program is support for them. Not a single dollar is used towards admin costs because Sayyid Sistani has specific supporters who assist us with the admin costs today. And alhamdulillah, we have had the ijazah renewed for 6 consecutive times now, alhamdulillah. I'm just going to repeat a quote by Sayyid Sistani that just confirmed his faith in and confidence in the organization. He mentions, "We renew our thanks and appreciation to those working for, supporting, and contributing to the charitable activities of this pioneering foundation." Mu'minin, this is not news to you, I'm sure, but the situation in Afghanistan and many other places like Ghana and Iraq is dire. If you think about in Afghanistan, forget about education, forget about quality life skills and all that stuff. The basic survival is at stake. We don't know when which child is going to make it through the next winter because they don't have the bare necessities to even keep themselves warm or have food on their table. There are 4.5 million children in Iraq today who are below the poverty line. Just to put that in perspective, Mu'mineen, $2.15 is the international poverty line today. I cannot buy a medium cup of coffee at Dunkin' Donuts for that price. I cannot buy a gallon of milk, nor a dozen eggs. And that is all that it takes, Mu'mineen, to lift these children out of the poverty line. And if you think about it, and the sawab-e-jariyah that comes with it, is if you help that head of household child, imagine the generational impact you're making in that entire family. We encourage you to please download our app. It's Al-Ain. You can download it. You can give sadaqah through that. You can learn about our Muharram fund. We have a target of lifting 1,000 children this Muharram out of poverty, Mu'min. Just to put and just to link that with why we're here today, in a few nights, there'll be one special child who will be crying for her Baba. That one child who will be dying to sleep on that father's chest, and he will not be responsive at that point. We have many of Sakinas out there, and you can do your part. And it doesn't have to be a long-term commitment. It can be any amount you can contribute that goes a long way towards lifting the children out of poverty. And we encourage you to please visit our website, join us on this journey. And if I just want to leave you with a short poem about the work that we do. In Karbala's shadow, a tale unfolds of orphan hearts and stories untold. Their innocent souls, like stars in the night, yearn for compassion, a glimmer of light. Just as history weaves its ancient thread, today's orphan children carry the same dread. Yet in their eyes, hope softly gleams, a chance of love to mend their shattered dreams. Let us extend our hands, hearts, and care in their journey. Let's all play a part to share. As Karbala echoes still resonate, we can heal wounds and alter their fate. By linking our hands, we create a chain, a symphony of love which knows no refrain. Together, we'll write a story anew. In each embrace, old sorrows undo. For just like the children in Karbala's past, these little ones deserve a love that will last. With compassion as our guiding light, we will shine away their darkest night. Let's be their guardians, strong and true. In every gesture, their hopes renew. with unity, love, and kindness, will mend the broken hearts of those we defend. Mu'mineen, we have a table set up outside near the Sabil area. We encourage you to please stop by, contribute anything you can. Even if you cannot contribute, there's ways you can volunteer for us and learn more about our programs. I thank you for your time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Ali Hassan Ali. Anyone interested can find more info on Al-Ain, which is al-ayn.org. Important announcements. We've received numerous complaints about how chaotic the halls have gotten, which is a good thing. You know, more people are coming to commemorate the Imam, but this does pose a safety risk. So IEC management will be unlocking all doors and requesting you use the designated doors. English Majlis, please use the west doors or the old doors, and Urdu Majlis, please use the new or the standard doors. Inshallah, tonight will be the Q&A with Shaykh Hazari after the Majlis. We request anyone with questions, please fill out the form that can be found on the IEC Youth Group WhatsApp, or you can scan the QR codes on the table outside. The Q&A will take place in this hall, and we request ladies to come through the old Legacy Hall stairs. Reminder for anyone under the age of 25, please fill out the youth database form. For those who don't know, we are collecting information on the youth to provide you with better and finer programs. The form can be found on the IEC website, and the QR codes are also on the tables outside. Please don't forget about the blood drive on August 12th, and the Ziyarat of Tabood will begin tomorrow for English Majlis with the Shahadat of Hazrat Ona Muhammad. Daily Ziyarat will be taken out every day through 9th Muharram. Lastly, I'm sorry little kids, but we are trying to accommodate as many people as possible, so anyone 12 or above is eligible to sit on the stage next to Shaykh, but sorry little kids. Now without further ado, please welcome Shaykh Dr. Mehdi Hazari with the loud salawat.
Again, we request everyone to come as close as possible. Anyone who would like to come on the stage that is 12 and up, and 12 and that goes as high as 40, 50, 60, however old you are, you can come sit on the stage to be closer to Maulana. But please, everyone, I'd like everyone just to come up to the stage at least, at minimum. As mentioned earlier, we had people sitting in the hallways, people sitting in the shoe area, people sitting near the bathroom entrance yesterday. MashaAllah, we have a lot of mu'mineen coming in, so please come in as close as possible. Thank you so much for your cooperation. Can we get one more loud salawat for Shaykh Dr. Mehdi Hazari? Thank you. Yep. Good.
على حب فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين صلوا على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد لتعجيل فرج الإمام صاحب العصر والزمان صلوا على محمد وآل محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد الفاتحة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن الرحيم مالك نعم الصراط بسم الله الرحمن بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا رسول الله وعلى أهل بيتك المعصومين الأبرار الميامين المظلومين المضطهدين السلام عليك وعلى ولدك المظلوم أبي عبد الله الحسين. يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة، يا غريب يا مظلوم يا عطشان كربلاء، ما خاب والله من تمسك بكم، أمنا من لجأ والتجأ إليكم. يا ليتنا فيا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز والله فوزا عظيما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن المنافقين في الدرك الأسفل من النار ولن تجد لهم نصيرا إلا الذين تابوا وأصلحوا واعتصموا بالله وأخلصوا دينهم لله فأولئك مع المؤمنين وسوف يؤتي الله المؤمنين أجرا عظيما. آمنا بالله صدق الله العلي العظيم. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. My dear brothers and sisters, what we've been talking about for the last few nights, change and reformation, and indeed the process of introspection. And every act of change has to begin internally. There's no such thing as saying, I'm going to change, or things are going to change from the outside and then go inside. Change always for insan is inside outward. That means that we begin not only by looking at ourselves, but looking at how Allah has created the system for us. This system that Allah has made, especially since He is adil, since He is just, Allah does not do injustice mithqala dharra. Even one speck, Allah doesn't do injustice. He is completely and totally just. That means that the system that He has created has to give every insan its opportunity, or his or her opportunity, to thrive and to excel and to reach salvation. If it was not that way, then he would be accused of being unjust, and that's not possible. Thus, when you see inequity, at times it is just a trial and a struggle of the life of this world, but many a times, maybe more often than not, it is because we've created injustice in the world that causes trampling on one group over the other. Me being an environmental scientist, again, I would be remiss if I didn't mention this, that today you see the effects of climate change. Where? In the poorest places in the world. In the villages of Pakistan, where sudden flooding kills thousands of people, droughts in Ethiopia that leave people for a month without water and food. Meanwhile, all the greenhouse gases that are being produced that are the cause of such change are where? They're not in Ethiopia. They're not in Pakistan, although Pakistan is probably a pretty, if you're Pakistani, don't blame me, okay? My family lives there too. But the data shows that it's the quote-unquote developed world that is creating this, right? So there is inequity in the world. There's also inequity in the human sort of relationships that exist. And we see that Quran always emphasizes the justice of God, especially when God recognizes the actions of people. When people do good, when people excel, when people advance, Allah recognizes it. And the ayah of the Quran, it says it very clearly. It says, فَاسْتَجَابَ لَهُمْ رَبُّهُمْ أَنِّي لَا أُضِيعُ عَمَلَ عَامِلٍ مِّنْكُم مِّن ذَكَرٍ أَوْ أُنثَىٰ بَعْضُكُم مِّن بَعْضٍ. He says, Allah answered, Allah says, I answered them, that I will not allow anyone's actions to go in vain. And not only does he say the actions, he says the action of the doer, عَمَلَ عَامِلٍ مِّنْكُمْ, of you. He points to us. He says, if you are the person doing the action, your action will not go in vain. And he qualifies the statement by saying, min dhakarin aw untha. Male and female, men and women. Everyone will get recognized for their actions. Now those actions, what are they? Those actions are built on a couple of things. And when you want to look at the best of actions in anything you do, anything you're trying to achieve, you look at a couple of things. One is your niyyah, your intention. إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Every action is driven by the intention that is pushing it, that is propelling it forward. Number two is your understanding of how to fulfill that action. Number three is to understand the environment in which the action is taking place. And number four is to recognize the consequence of that action or what result you are trying to seek. Look at any action, these four will encompass it. I want to do a PhD. I have an intention to do a PhD. What will determine whether I finish it or not? How strong that intention is. How pure and sincere that intention is achieving it. If my intention is to do a PhD, but also to sit on the beach and drink piña colada, halal piña colada, and waste my time there, how much chance is there of me finishing PhD? Probably slim to none, no? PhD is rigorous, it's hard. Although me, that was the easier way out for me, because I thought medical school, and no way, man, I could never be a doctor. Never smart enough, never hardworking enough. So no sort of denigration on the PhDs out there, but that was the path for me. So all of these four, yes? Not only intention, you have to know what is needed to carry out the task. If you don't study, you don't work hard, you don't do what's required to get the task done, you're not going to finish it. Number three, the environment. What does that mean? It means you have to know the world in which you live. If I'm going to a university, I say this to my children, my daughter a lot, when she says that my professor is being very unfair to me, they want this or they want that, and I say, okay, well, you made a mistake once, you got a bad grade. The second time, if you make a mistake and you get a bad grade because you made the same mistake the second time, who's the fool? You are, because you didn't learn what the professor wanted. The professor wanted it a certain way. In your job, it's the same way. Your managers, your bosses want something in a specific type of way. You don't give it to them. Okay, first time you were at, maybe it wasn't communicated, you didn't know. But the second time you knew, the third time you knew. If you don't learn from the environment around you, who's the one at fault? You are. Your action will falter. And number four, you have to know where it's going. What is the natija? What is the result of that action? These four apply to everything. They apply to our work in the life of this world, our achievement for what we want to do. They apply for our worship, our journey to God, our relationships, everything, everything. Just break it down into these four things, you will see it applies to everything. And what Islam said is that for each insan, man or woman, you will see that if they adhere to these four things, they achieve these four things, then anyone can excel, men or women. And Islam, the histories, you don't need to look at the histories written by Muslims. Go look at the histories written by non-Muslims. They all invariably say that specifically, men had it easy. Men were the kings of society. But in those days, women were treated poorly, very poorly. So when Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam came, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. When Rasulullah came, the histories describe that the status, the state of women in society improved automatically. They were no longer treated like property. They were allowed true citizenship in the sense that they could own property, they had choice, they had free will, etc., etc. Look at some examples. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, he treated them with so much honor and so much dignity. There was a woman, her name was Nusayba bint Ka'b. Nusayba bint Ka'b, I don't know how many of you have heard of Nusayba bint Ka'b. She, in the Battle of Uhud, it is described that when the archers had come down from the mountainside after being told not to leave their position, and Khalid ibn al-Walid had come around the corner to rout them from behind, everyone was running. They say Nusayba bint Ka'b was one of the people who was fighting against the enemy to save Rasulullah. So much so that some of the histories report that she got injured on her shoulder. Her shoulder got torn by a shot of an arrow or something. She was in pain. And that in the middle of the fighting, she is fighting. It's not required on her to fight. Jihad is not on her to fight in the battlefield, but she is there fighting. They say that her son falls. He gets injured. He is there fighting as well. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam calls to her and he says, Nusayba, your son has fallen. Go help him. She goes and helps. Some of the histories even describe that this woman, she was one of the ruwat. She was one of the transmitters of hadith. And that she was well trusted by the people. So you can see that there is no concept of, well, let's relegate the women to the kitchen. There was no concept of, no, that's not the place for them to be. In fact, even when the battle had finished, Fatima al-Zahra alayha salatu wassalam had come out to the battlefield. And that the first subha she made was from the grave of who? Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib. The legacy of Rasulullah was the view of the Quran, no? That every human being, their action is gifted and rewarded and potentiated by Allah, irrespective of being man or woman. Just look at the life of Khadijah al-Kubra alayhi salatu wassalam. Salawat ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. And you see that these roles are not something that the Quran has said is stationary, especially when it comes to women. When I say stationary, meaning it didn't just suddenly happen. Allah was pointing it to us. He was indicating that this is really how it should be. It's just you human beings have ruined the system. You have chosen to marginalize a certain group because it suits you to do so. Let me give you an example. You know, in the time of Sulaiman alayhi salatu wassalam, that once he asks, where is the hudhud? The story of the hudhud is known. Where is the hudhud? The riwayat, they explain, they report that hudhud is somewhere off far. So the eagle goes, it is in the riwayah, I am not just making this up. The riwayah says that the eagle goes looking for him. And in fact is going to punish him on the orders of Sulaiman. He finds hudhud flying in the sky. He tells hudhud that your master Sulaiman is angry at you. You better return. Hudhud says, oh, will there be any forgiveness for me? The eagle, he says, you better return quickly. So he goes back. Hudhud comes in front of Sulaiman alayhi salam. Sulaiman alayhi salam, he says, where have you been? I'm very upset. Hudhud explains that I was off flying and I was in I saw a kingdom where there is a very powerful queen. The Queen of Sheba. Powerful queen. She's got a vast kingdom. However, I noticed that they worship the sun. They worship the sun. So Sulaiman alayhi salam, he says, I'm going to write a letter. You will take it and you will deliver it to her. He writes a letter. The Quran even describes that it starts Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The Quran describes it. Takes the letter, he drops it there. Bilqis, who's the queen of Sheba, she sees the letter, she reads it. The letter says, come, leave off this oppression, meaning the disbelief in God, the belief in the sun, leave it, and all your other immoral practices, and come to the worship of God. Now she takes the letter, she reads it. She's a queen. She's not some ordinary woman. She's a queen. We are talking time of Sulaiman alayhi salam. And now the Quran describes what she does. I ask you to pay attention now to the Quran. Quran, it says, قالت يا أيها الملأ افتوني في أمري افتوني في أمري. She says to her council, who are all men, the riwayah describes, that advise me, what should I do? What should I do? I have received this letter from Sulaiman. He has said to desist with worshipping the sun, and we are worried, what should we do? What answer should I give him? The Quran says that the men in her council, they say, قالوا نحن أولو قوة وأولو بأس شديد والأمر إليك فانظري ماذا تأمرين. The ayah, it says that, O queen, they say to her, that we are powerful. نحن أولو قوة وأولو بأس شديد. Meaning we have power, we have might, we have a strong army, and we can smite any enemy that comes in front of us. But the decision is yours. So tell us, what do you want us to do? These men are sitting in the court of a queen. So now, what does she say? قالت إن الملوك إذا دخلوا قرية أفسدوها وجعلوا أعزة أهلها أذلة وكذلك يفعلون. Her answer in the Quranic ayah, she retorts back and gives an answer. You are proposing that we take our army and go face him and fight with him in a battle. However, she says, kings, she's giving this answer. She says, my feeling is the opposite. That when kings go into a kingdom and they enter with force, the way you're describing for us to do, they create fasad in the world. Yeah? Afsaduha, they will destroy and corrupt and burn and pillage, and they will take the noble people of any community that they have just stomped on, and they will make them lowly in the earth, which is not what we want to do. Now, what does she do? She writes a letter, and she says, let's send gifts to Sulaiman. We will not fight. And you know the story. The point is not the story. The point is that when the riwayat describe her, they describe this knowledgeable, wise queen who took a proper action. Without bloodshed, without killing, she eventually becomes a believer. It is related that when she comes to visit Sulaiman after he has brought her throne to him, she becomes a believer. But let me ask you this. What is the approach of the Quran? The Holy Quran, when it sees or it mentions something that is haram, that is corrupt, that is immoral, that is against God's code, does the Quran not say that this is corruption? That this is wrong? That this is haram? Stay away from this? There is no mention of this in Bilqis' story. There is no mention that she was corrupt or she was misguided or that the men were telling her to do something and she was not listening to them and she was foolhardy in her behavior. No. She was the wise one. She was the wise one in making a decision, not only for herself, but for the community at large, her entire community. This is the Holy Quran. The Holy Quran is describing this. Yet what have we done? We have taken the role of a woman and we have changed it the way we think it should be. And again, I asked you last night that keep an open mind. And if anything goes wrong, you can throw something at me. I don't mind. I'm pretty good. I can move and keep an open mind. We have changed what we consider to be the role of a man and the role of a woman. And you see it everywhere. It's not just us. It's everywhere. The Pew Research Center, and by the end of these 10 days, you'll be sick of hearing about research and data and all these things, right? I love data. That's all I care about is data. Data, data, data. The Pew Research Center did a survey here in the United States. And they chose a couple of words, specific words, and they went and they asked people, who do you attribute these words to, men or women? They picked the word powerful. Powerful. Guess who that leaned towards? Most people, they said men. Men are powerful. Leadership. Most people picked men. No? Makes sense. Most people picked men. Ambition. Most people picked men. Beautiful. Most people picked women. You see a little disparity in this, no? Why? Because a woman is only her physical appearance? This is human nature. This is not a Muslim, non-Muslim thing. This is a human thing that is happening here in the modern world, in a technologically advanced world, in a world where even today, I will tell you this, that do you know that maternal mortality rates, pregnant women who die due to childbirth or due to complications of pregnancy, you know we are one of the highest countries in the world? Of the developed countries. We're not talking about countries that don't have good health care, that are underdeveloped, etc. I'm talking about developed countries. The United States is extremely high. You know who mostly is suffering from that? Black women. In the developed world. Go look at the data. I'm not making it up. It's shameful. It's something to consider. As Muslims, we have to consider. As followers of the Quran, who read the Quran and study its legacy, we have to look at that very, very carefully. Because the value of human life, Allah has said every human life has that value. Every human life. And each human will decide, and based on their effort and their intention, they will go somewhere with it. Do you all know that there is something, it's called the VSL, the value of statistical life, okay? So let me give you an example. I want to install into cars today seat belts that beep, okay? And we technically have that, but I'm talking about putting actually a beeper inside of it. I want to install that. The first problem with that is what? Or the first issue is what? It costs money. You're going to have to do it. You're going to have to pay the money, okay? To be able to test it, develop it, put it into the cars, sell the cars, etc. It costs a lot of money to develop this. VSL, or the value of statistical life, it means that you want to offset the benefit or do a cost-benefit analysis of putting in the beeper in the seat belt versus how many lives you're going to save. And this happened in real life. In 1974, it was proposed to the Department of Transportation over here that we need to put bars at the back of trucks, pickup trucks, because when accidents took place and a car from behind hit the pickup truck, the car would go underneath the pickup truck. And it would obviously, the rear end will hit the windshield and the person could get injured quite badly, if not die. In 1974, when they did this VSL for the installation of the bars, they valued human life at $850,000. And they said, it's not worth it. And DOT rejected it. In 1998, again, the same proposition was brought in front of DOT. We need to put bars into pickup trucks to stop cars from hitting the back and going underneath and causing great damage. In 98, the value of human life had gone up to $2.5 million per human life. How you figure something like this? Ya Allah. DOT said, yes, let's put it in. Okay? Human life today, you know what its value is? $10 million. This is not a fake number. Go look it up. Human life is worth $10 million. How do they determine this? They look, basically, I'm giving you a very rough explanation of this. They look at your earning potential. They look at the risk of you dying. There is even a human life calculator, you know, that insurance companies use? They sit and they calculate what it would cost if you were to die. Yes? So they look at all of these things, they try to calculate the value of human life. And they try to mitigate risk and say, if this person were to die, what would be the cost of it? This is what we have reduced humanity to. Yet the problem is, if you read studies that explain or sort of analyze this approach of valuing human life, is that there's great disparity. One, in this country, between whites and blacks, the value of the black life is not as high or is not taken into account in the same manner, and women versus men. Big difference. That women are not adequately being addressed in the valuation of their life when it comes to these sorts of things. Yet let me step away just for 1 second, on these two matters. On the day of Ashura, when Imam Hussein heard the call, Assalamu alayka ya ibn Rasulillah, he went and he saw the body of John Mawla Aba Dhar. John, who was a Christian, Abyssinian Christian, who had converted to Islam, he had asked Imam Husain's permission to go out and fight. He said, "My master, Ya Hussein, my skin is dark. My fragrance is not good. Will you allow me to stand in the ranks with you, Ya Aba Abdullah?" Imam Hussein, with tears in his eyes, reported that it is our honor that you have stayed with us. It is the honor of the Ahl al-Bayt that you stayed with us. And when he comes to the body of John, already the soul had departed, Imam Hussein falls on the body and he says, "Ya Allah, put noor on his face and give him the fragrance of Jannah." Value of life. Go forward many decades. It is reported that somebody once came to Al-Imam Al-Kadhim alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. And they said, there is a caravan that has come from Maghrib, North Africa. And there are some slave women who have been brought. Imam Kadhim, he calls the attendant. He tells him, "Go." It is reported, he says, "Go, look for such and such a slave girl and purchase her, free her." The attendant, he goes, he finds the slaver, the slaveholder. He says, "My master wants to free a slave, wants to purchase a slave." And it is almost difficult even to talk about stuff like this. But you will hear what I have to say on this. He comes, he says, "Bring out the slave girls." The slave man, he brings all the women who are standing there in front of him. The attendant of Imam Al-Kadhim alayhi salam, he looks at the women over there. He doesn't see who his master described to him. She's not there. He says, "Is there anybody else?" He asks the slaveholder, the slave driver, he says, "No, there's nobody." He goes back to Imam Kadhim alayhi salam. It's reported, Imam Kadhim, he says, "No, she's there. Go, ask again." The attendant, he comes back, he again asks the slaveholder. He says, "Is everybody out here? Did you bring all the women?" He says, "No, there is one woman. She is very sick, very weakly, cannot move." The attendant, he says, "Bring her out." The Rawi, he describes that she had to be carried by two other women to come out. Two other women, because she was so weak, so sickly. The attendant looks at her, recognizes that this is exactly the person my master had mentioned. He frees her. He purchases her and frees her. Do you know who this is? This is the mother of Al-Imam Al-Rida alayhi salam. Aywa. This is the mother of Imam Rida. Imam Baqir alayhi salatu was salam, in his life, he would call his children and he would say to them, "Marry the slave girls, because you will find that they are smarter than the free ones. They possess intellect that the free ones do not." We talk about valuation of life. Look at that, what it is. This is Ahl al-Bayt. But the world in which we live has created these artificial values and has taken what is considered to be a traditional, proper role and corrupted it, perverted it in a way that it should not be perverted. That's why you see that most people who propose, women will have one of three roles in society. One, they will be completely hidden. They will have no role in society. You will not see them, you will not talk to them. They will play no role, they will have no influence, they will have nothing. Number two, they will have a role in society, they will play a role, they will come out into society, but there will be negative consequences of those roles. There will be some backlash from it. And number three, they will come into society and play a role, but they will know exactly what they are supposed to do and how to act. And guided by Allah's hand, they will act and do in the exact manner by which society will advance. So you see that there is this thing, and clearly this is where we live. This is what the world looks like today. Do you know that in the 1800s, here in the United States, there was something called the cult of domesticity? The cult of domesticity in the 1800s was a philosophy, was something that was being spread in society in America, that basically said a woman should be kept like a jewel in the house and hidden away. She should not come out. She's a queen in her house. She should not come out. She should not see anyone. She should just show a sign of purity and chastity, and nothing is shown. You'll say this is exactly like Fatima az-Zahra, no? Is not. Is not. Is not. Yes, Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salatu wassalam was the height of chastity. She did not come out in front of the eyes of strangers. Even when the man came and he was blind, she did not show her face because she did not want to look at him. But that is because her level of faith and piety is so high that she will not even allow herself a speck, a chance of ever coming out of that circle, out of that boundary. But that doesn't mean that a woman cannot come out into society. So you've got this cult of domesticity. And what ends up happening, look at how history goes. In the late 1800s, the 1900s, what happens? Industrialization takes place. The world starts to use fuel. What used to be by the hand, making fabric, tilling the fields, now is being done by an engine. Now, that work, fairly rigorous, no? 1910s, 1915s, 1920s, people have to work hard, physical. Who's going to do that work? Men are going to do that work. Men will go out, they will work in the factories, they will toil and struggle and work hard, and the woman will sit at home. Is this not the traditional view of the world? If you look at the vast majority of societies, this is the view. The man is the worker, the woman sits at home. What's the pitfall of this? What is the problem with this issue? How do you value yourself? Let me give you an example, okay? I come to you, I'm wearing a 3-piece Armani suit. Armani is good, right? I've never owned an Armani, so I don't know. Armani, it's good. I got a crisp tie. It's a navy blue suit. I may even wear a pink shirt under it. No, don't snicker. Pink shirts look good sometimes under a dark suit. Sharp tie, I come to you, sharp looking. No? What will you think? You don't know anything about me. You'll say, this guy's got it, right? He's made it. Armani suit, I flash the Armani tag inside, you see it? No? You'll say, this guy's made it. Why? Because of money. No? Because the money that took for me to get that, automatically you've assumed that I have worked hard, I have gotten a good degree from a good school, I got a good job, I make good money, so my value is here. Why are people valued today? Men are valued. You want to marry your daughter. Let's take that, okay? Oh, ya Allah. How many of you have young girls of marrying age? 2 men will walk in front of you. You don't know anything about them. One wearing the Armani suit, the other standing there in a battered up t-shirt, torn jeans. His hair is a little disheveled. The other guy looks sharp. Who will you marry your daughter to? Come on. Let's be honest. You will marry to the Armani, no? Why? Because you have assigned a value to him based on how much money he has. Based on how he looks from the money that he has. So men immediately, why? Because they're the money earners, have been assigned a value. Yet, that being their role, what is the role of the woman? The role is a mother. The role is a wife. The role is a cook. The role is a cleaner. The one changing the diaper. How much do you pay for that service to your wife? Does she get paid for that? She doesn't get paid for that. That's her role, to do that. And the reason why she is not being valued, because she is not being paid for it. You all know this, that if you hold a weekend school or you have a school, Islamic school, you should always charge money. You know why? Because if you make it free, people take it as a joke. When you charge them money, they take it seriously. They say, oh, I had to pay for it. That woman, her role is a mother, and yes, laudable, highest role. Please don't take away what I'm saying to you. The role of the mother, the role of the wife, all of those things. But is she being compensated for the role that she has been made to play traditionally, the way the man is being traditionally made to play his role? She is not being compensated for that. And do you know what? The International Monetary Fund, what does it do? It comes back and it says that unpaid work that is being done for free, the vast majority of it, who is doing it? Women. Women do it. Not just in the underdeveloped world, in America, in our country. Unpaid work is being done by women. And there are studies that show that unpaid, the amount of unpaid work that's going on in a given society is inversely proportional to economic development. Do you understand that? The more unpaid work there is, the less economic development there is in a society. The less unpaid work there is, the more economic development. Pay people. So my dear brothers and sisters, what does Islam say? And this is where I'm going to get in trouble a little bit. A woman who is a mother and a wife is not required in Islam to render household services. She does not have to cook. She does not have to clean. She does not have to tend to the children. She does not have to raise the children. She does so because she loves them. She does so because she loves Allah more than them. Whose job is it? Ours, you and me. And if a woman doesn't want to clean, she can demand from her husband that you pay the money to clean the house if you don't want to do it yourself. Why? Because there has to be some value assigned to this human being. And that yes, the role of mother, the role of wife, all of this in the eyes of God, a pious mother, there is no comparison to what a pious mother is. No comparison. But my question to you is, have we designated to them a traditional role by which we have devalued everything they stand for? We've not used them the way Islam says they should be used. And indeed, Islam recognizes. The ayah of the Holy Quran, what does it say? It says, وَلَا تَتَمَنَّوْا مَا فَضَّلَ اللَّهُ بِهِ بَعْضُكُمْ عَلَى بَعْضٍ. Don't go seeking what the other person has earned and achieved. Don't go looking to grab what they have done. لِلرِّجَالِ نَصِيبٌ مِمَّا اكْتَسَبُوا وَلِلنِّسَاءِ نَصِيبٌ مِمَّا اكْتَسَبْنَا. Men have a right to benefit from whatever they have worked hard for, and women have a right to benefit from whatever they have worked hard for. You cannot go and take what they have. They have a right to that value. They have a right to that money. My dear brothers and sisters, I say this with a lot of regret to some degree, that oftentimes when non-Muslims particularly come and say to me that, oh, marriage is unfair in Islam, women are mistreated, they're the second-class citizen. No, it's not Islam. It's human beings. And one of the things that I used to always say is that, oh, well, a woman has a right to her husband's money. He cannot take her money, but she can take his. She has a right to grab his money and use it for proper purposes. My dear brothers and sisters, why are we not asking the question, should she not be allowed to make her own money? Yes, she has a right by Allah's law. No one is saying no. But should she not be empowered to earn her own money? Let me make the point to you in a different way. When you talk about the faqih, okay, the maraji', our great scholars, who have protected our religion, who have kept tashayyu' alive. Today, the marja'iyya al-ulya particularly, as we were already talking about Al-Ain and Sayyid al-Sistani, may Allah preserve him, that how much is being done to help? When you talk about their role, we talk about wilaya. Wilaya is guardianship, and I am not here to talk about wilayat al-faqih. That is a long different topic. I am not talking about that. There is something in the theory that is called al-umur al-hisbiyya. Al-umur al-hisbiyya, it means that there are certain things in society that you cannot just let them go. They have to be attended to. They must be taken care of. You must pay attention to them, you must correct them. What is one of those things? Al-ain. In society, in a Muslim society, you have orphans. Who's going to take care of them? Nobody. So the marja' plays this role. This is his role as the wali. He will come, he will say, I am going to institute orphanages, I will institute programs, al-ain, and please, I urge you all to go and give. In the same token, now that's in Iraq, Muslim country. We live in a Muslim country? No, we live in a secular system. Today, when a husband and a wife start to have trouble, they try to work it out. It's a traditional system. The man has the traditional job of bread earner, he works. He's gone, he's earned his living, he's got the sweat on his brow, he bought the house for the family, all of that, taken care of, no problem. The woman is at home taking care of the children like a good, dutiful mother and a wife, cooking the food. They run into trouble, they try to go through counseling, they try to solve their problems, but inevitably they divorce. The man is not such a nice guy, he doesn't want to be so generous. When they separate, who owns the property? When the talaq takes place, who gets the money? Whatever mahar is being given has to be given in the talaq, and if it has not already been handed over, given to the woman. Now, once they've been divorced, the talaq has been pronounced, who's living in the house? The man. It's his house. He worked for it. Where does the woman go? 20 years have gone by, 30 years have gone by, 40 years have gone by. I've seen it. I've seen it. Women who are not young, who cannot go back to college, who've spent their decades of life inside of a house, taking care and doing their duty to their family. Who will take care of them now? You think that husband is charitably going to give them $1,000 after the divorce? He's not. He's not going to give them that. Where will they go? Who will take care of them? Many of them are old enough that their parents are retired or passed away. They have no brothers or sisters to take care of them. Where will they go? Who will take care of them? We live in a Muslim society where the hand of the wali is on top of them. No, we live in a Western society. No one will care for you. You will be put on welfare. That's why I say this, and this is just my personal opinion, that maybe the time has come that we should consider educating and allowing careers for our women. Yes, if they want to sit in their houses and be wives and mothers, yes, all power to you. No question. And definitely there should be no transgression against the law of God. Never. Follow the law of God. But there is no law of God that says a woman cannot go outside. No law of God that says a woman cannot get educated. No law of God that says a woman cannot work. Khadijat al-Kubra alayha salatu wassalam. Need I say more? Khadijat al-Kubra. What she represented. Not only the greatest of Rasulullah's wives, but his first wife. What a sign. What a message to everybody. Should we not encourage our women to get careers so that they don't have to feel that they have to rely on anybody? And that's not to say that you're planning for the inevitable divorce. No, it is about empowerment. It is about value. And it's about their contribution. What we have done is we have said, no, the chastity of a woman is she should stay home. Indeed, indeed. But is the chastity of a woman different from the chastity of a man? Let me give you an example. A man can go out into the community and he can talk to non-mahram women however he chooses. No? Can he? Can he? He's got his guns showing. When I say guns, I mean his biceps. He's wearing a nice tight shirt. He's in the gym. Yeah. We do it. No? He's got his guns showing. He's handsome. He's slicked his beard a little bit. He's got some beard oil, whatever they use. I don't know. Nice hairstyle, pomade in the hair. I don't have hair on my head, so I don't know. He goes out. He can talk however he wants. Islam allows that, no? To a non-mahram woman. But a woman cannot go out. She's fully hijabbed, fully covered, proper behavior. She cannot talk to a non-mahram. Not allowed. No, my dear brothers and sisters, Islam does not say this. Islam doesn't say this. It is even in the administration of this law. If a man talks to a non-mahram woman in such a way that it elicits inappropriate feelings, he cannot talk. If it causes him to fall into sin, he cannot talk. Same with the woman, same rule applies. No difference in the rule. So why have we said that the woman should be inside the room, inside the house, not come outside the house, not go and work? My dear brothers and sisters, there is no reason and nothing in Islam that allows. And again, hear me loud and clearly, please. No one is saying to go against the ethos of Islam, the chastity of Islam, but that rule applies equally to man and woman. And that the role a woman plays as a mother, indeed, a man cannot do so because of the tenderness of a woman's heart. The love and caring that she puts into raising her children, a man cannot come close, but that is not an excuse for a man not to do his job. Because in the end, Allah will ask the man, not the woman. We have to recognize these things. And that the world has changed. The world has changed. And that to be empowering, the more you empower someone, the more you will see them shine and excel and go forward. And powerful women are the ones who change the world. I just gave you the example of Bilqis, no? And need I talk about anyone else? There's no question on who the most powerful voice is. They say years later, in Medina, a man comes to Hakima. Sayyida Hakima is the sister of Imam al-Jawad alayhi salam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. She comes and she is sitting with the man. The man asks, he says, you are from the family of Rasulullah. Do you know who the imamat is passing to? So this is after the time of Imam al-Jawad's demise, it is reported. So he asks, he says, do you know who it is? She says, yes. He says, who has the affair been placed with? Meaning, who is the wali of this issue? Who is the overseer and is going to make sure that it gets done the way it is supposed to? This is now past the time of Al-Imam al-Askari. She says, it has been placed in the hands of the mother. The mother. The sister of Aba Muhammad, the sister of Al-Askari. It has been placed in her hands. So now he says, how can I follow somebody who has placed everything in the hands of a woman? She looks at him and she says to him, we are following the example of the sister who took instructions from her brother to protect the living Imam. We are taking the example of Zainab al-Kubra. My dear brothers and sisters, Imam as-Sajjad in the court of Yazid was sick. He had been suffering. Some weeks had gone by the time they got to Damascus. But Imam doesn't have enough strength and energy and vitality to speak up for himself. What is the need to have a woman stand up and speak? Maybe that was the answer to the question of why are you taking your women with you, your daughters with you, your sisters with you? Because the voice of Zainab did what no one else could do. We are Husaini today because of Zainab al-Kubra. We wear black today because of Zainab al-Kubra. We say Labbayka ya Hussein because of Zainab al-Kubra. The ma'tam on our chest is because of Zainab al-Kubra. The sabil outside is because of Zainab al-Kubra. That voice. Not just the voice, the shield of imamat. Don't think the woman is not strong enough, that it is not her role to protect. History is replete with examples of this. And that's why when she stood in front of Yazid, la'natullahi alayh, she says to him, she first says, وَلِلَّهِ الْمُشْتَكَى وَعَلَيْهِ الْمُعَوَّلِ. She says, I complain to God because of what is happening and has happened. And my trust is in Allah. I have turned to Him. She says, Ya Yazid, fakid kaydaka, wasa' sa'yaka wa nasib juhdaka, fawallah la tamhu dhikrana, wa la tumitu wahyana. She says, O Yazid, plot whatever plot you want to plot. Put whatever effort you want to do, whatever effort you want to engage in. Put as much soldiers, as much tactics, as much strategy, as much propaganda as you want. You will never erase our remembrance. You will never cause the wahi to die that has come. The voice of Zainab al-Kubra. The value of an insan. And our daughters, our wives, our mothers, our sisters, they are the followers of Zainab al-Kubra. Who, yes, chastity of her mother, but the power to come out and shake society when it has to be shaken. To show that value lies anywhere and everywhere that Allah has put it. My dear brothers and sisters, You know that when Imam al-Hussein is traveling up and he comes to Sharaf and Dhul Husam or Dhul Husam, they stop to get some water. There is water nearby. And the Rawi, he describes that after taking the water and collecting in their sacks, their water skins, one of the soldiers of Imam Hussein, he calls. He says, Yabna Rasulullah, someone is coming. We can see as if trees are moving in the distance. Imam Hussein, he says, come, return back and take a defensive position. These are the spears approaching. As they come forward, they encounter Al-Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi, along with his 1,000 soldiers. The history describes that the soldiers of Hurr are dying of thirst. They have been traveling in the desert from Kufa, coming down to meet Imam Hussein. When they reach Imam Hussein alayhi salam, they stop there and they're dying of thirst. Imam Hussein, he calls his companions and he says to them that give them water. One of the companions, he says, Yabna Rasulullah, let us fight them now and we will vanquish them. We have the upper hand. Imam Hussein, he says, I will never be the one who starts the battle. I will never engage the war. I will always defend. He says, give them water. All of them are given water. All of them are given water, one by one, one by one. Their horses are allowed to drink over and over, over and over. Suddenly, a man comes forward. He has not drank. He is very weak. He is about to faint. He comes close, and Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he asks him to come and lean his head forward. The man who is from Sham doesn't understand, because Imam Hussein uses the Hijazi lahja. He uses the accent from Mecca, Medina. He doesn't understand. So Imam Hussein speaks in just general Arabic, Fusha Arabic, and he says to him, lean forward. The man leans forward. Maulana al-Hussein, he puts his hand behind his neck, this man. He takes the water and he pours the water in his mouth to drink. Aywa Husayna, Aywa Madluma. He gives him to drink. They all drink. You all know that Hurr tried to stop Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein went forward. When Hurr held the reins of Imam Hussein's horse, Imam Hussein, he said, ثَكَلَتْكَ أُمُّكَ يَا Hurr. In Arabic, in those days when you said something like this, it was like a stinging reply. ثَكَلَتْكَ أُمُّكَ يَا Hurr. It means, may your mother mourn you, O Hurr. Hurr stops. He says, Yabna Rasulillah, you took my mother's name with thakal, meaning the statement that was made. He says, but I cannot take your mother's name like that. Indeed, she must have been listening. Imam Hussein is made to come into Karbala. Imam Hussein, they say, on that 10th day of Muharram, he is leaning on the ground, his hand is on his sword. And for a brief moment, the Rawi, he says he falls asleep. The army of Umar ibn Sa'ad la'natullahi alayh has entered into the battlefield of Karbala. Sayyidah Zainab, she comes, she puts her hand on Imam Hussein's shoulder and she says, Ya akhi ya Hussein. She wakes him. He opens his eyes. She says, did you not see the army that has come? He says, yes, I now see them. He says, Ya ukhayya Zainab, akhadatni an-nawm. Sleep had taken me. وَرَأَيْتُ جَدِّي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ وَهُوَ يَقُولُ إِنَّكَ قَادِمٌ إِلَيْنَا يَا حُسَيْنِ. I saw my grandfather in my sleep. And he was saying to me that you are coming very quickly to us, Ya Hussein. On that battlefield, you want to know the valor of women? It is described in the Arbab al-Maqatil that one of the men had gone out to fight. And when he had gone out to fight, he was surrounded by the enemy and his head had been severed. The body had fallen. They say that the la'in, he picked up the head of the companion and he threw it towards the tents. They say the flap of the tent opened. This young man's mother came out. And the Rawi, he says, أخذت برأسه وبدأت تمسح الدماء. She began to wipe the dirt from her son's face, from the head. Then the Rawi, he says, she goes into the tent and pulls out a pole. The pole that holds the tent, she pulls it. And she charges the battlefield. She goes attacking the enemy. Imam Hussein, he sees her and he calls the companions. He says, stop her, they will kill her. She is a mother. Bring her back. These were the women who were with Ahl al-Bayt. These were the women who will live on after the events of Ashura. And yet, you hear the cry of al-Atash, al-Atash, al-Atash. On the third day before Ashura, water has been cut off. And the sound of al-Atash, thirst, is going to the camp of Umar ibn Sa'ad. They say that man, Qurra ibn Qais, I mentioned to you yesterday, he is taking water upon water and pouring it on the horses' backs. The men have drank. They are cooling the backs of the horses. One man, he sees what is happening. Some report that he takes his son, he takes his attendant, and he says, how is it that we see the water being poured on the backs of the horses when the children of Al-Hussein are dying thirsty? Go back. They go. Some report that he has his attendant tie his hands. Some report that he sits backwards on his horse with his back facing the front of the horse, which was a sign of humiliation. And when he came forward, it's described that Al-Imam Abi Abdullah al-Hussein looks at him and he says, Man ant? Who are you who has come forward? Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. He says, Ana ibn Rasulillah sahibuka alladhi habastuka ala al-tariq. I am the one who has trapped you on this road. وَجِئْتُكَ إِلَى هَذَا الْمَكَانِ. I am the one who has forced you to this place. I am the one who has brought the family of Rasulullah and trapped them here. This is because of me. And I am repentant in front of Allah. So do you see that Allah will forgive me? Imam Hussein, he brings Hur down, grasps him. He says, yes, Ya Hur, Allah has forgiven you. You are now my guest, come and be with us. When the fighting is beginning, Hurr ibn Yazid, he goes to Imam Hussein and he says, أَتَأْذَنْ لِي يَا ibn Rasulillah. Do you give me permission to go out and fight, O grandson of the Prophet? Imam Hussein sends Hurr out to the battlefield. The Rawi, he says, that Hurr, he fights against the enemy soldiers, vanquishing them from one side and another. He was a valiant champion. They could not stop him, but eventually the assault on his body started to strike and he began to fall from his horse, mortally wounded in his chest, calling out, Assalamu alayka. Ya Sayyidi, Ya Aba Abdullah. I am falling by master. Imam Hussein, as he did with all his companions, raced out to the body of Hurr. Finding Hurr lying on the ground, he falls on the body and he says, O Hurr kunta dayfi. You were my guest, O Hurr, and I could not even give you a drink of water. My dear brothers and sisters, Hurr is Shaheed. The events of Karbala, the day of Ashura has passed. The enemy soldiers have looted the tents, have taken the possessions, have tied up the prisoners. Now, one by one, the enemy soldiers are going to the companions' bodies. They are desecrating those bodies. When they come to sever the head of Hurr, his soldiers who were in his company when he was on the time of Umar ibn Sa'd, they still had loyalty for Hurr. They would not allow any of Umar ibn Sa'ad's soldiers to desecrate the body of their former commander. No possession was taken, nothing was robbed, nothing was cut from the body of Hurr. ولكن الحسين but مولانا الحسين أخذوا العمامة من رأسه أخذوا الخاتمة من يده. They took the turban from his head. They cut the finger to take the ring. وداست الخيول على صدر الحسين. The horses trampled on مظلوما. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. باسمك العظيم الأعظم الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله. اللهم إنا نسألك وندعوك ونقسم عليك بحق الزهراء وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها لعن الله ظالميها. اللهم شافي كل مريض، اللهم رد كل غريب، اللهم فك كل أسير، اللهم غير سوء حالنا بحسن حالك يا كريم. اللهم وفقنا لمراضيك وجنبنا معاصيك وثبت أقدامنا على صراطك المستقيم وخذ بأيدينا إليك يا أرحم الراحمين. وفرج عنا يا الله فرجا عاجلا قريبا كلمح البصر وهو أقرب من ذلك. وافرغ علينا صبرا وتوفنا مسلمين. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين.
Hussein, Ya Hussein, Hussein. मैं प्यासा हूँ अम्मा, मैं प्यासा हूँ अम्मा, हाय मैं प्यासा हूँ अम्मा, मैं प्यासा हूँ अम्मा, हाय मैं प्यासा हूँ अम्मा, मैं प्यासा हूँ अम्मा, हाय मैं प्यासा, मैं प्यासा हूँ अम्मा, हाय मैं प्यासा हूँ अम्मा, अम्मा, हाय मैं प्यासा हूँ अम्मा, माँ है खुश्क गला मेरा, है खुश्क गला मेरा, और सामने है दरिया, है मैं प्यासा हूँ, मैं प्यासा हूँ अम्मा, है मैं प्यासा हूँ अम्मा, माँ
تو صدا اپنی پہلو میں سلایا ہے، جب پیاس لگی مجھ کو خود پانی پلایا ہے، سیروز اب میں نے سیروز اب میں نے پانی ہی نہیں دیکھا ہے، میں پیاسا اماں میں پیاسا ہوں اماں، ہائے میں پیاسا ہوں اماں، اماں بچپن سے عادت تھی جب پیاس مجھے لگتی، بن مانگ ہوئے غازی لے آتا تھا خود پانی، لے آئے ذرا پانی، لے آئے ذرا پانی، غازی کو صدا دینا ہے، میں پیاسا ہوں میں پیاسا ہوں اماں، ہے میں پیاسا میں پیاسا ہوں اماں، ہم شکل پیمبر نے جس دم سے آزادی ہے، اس دم سے لائنوں نے مہلت ہی نہیں دی ہے، اب آپ کی گودی میں اب آپ کی گودی میں ہے یاد مجھے آیا ہے، میں پیاسا ہوں میں پیاسا ہوں اماں، ہے میں پیاسا ہوں میں پیاسا ہوں اماں، خنجر میری گردن پر اب شمر چلائے گا، اماں یہ سما تم سے دیکھا نہیں جائے گا، جلتی ہوئی ریتی پر جلتی ہوئی ریتی پر کرنا ہے مجھے سجدہ، ہے میں پیاسا میں پیاسا ہوں اماں، ہے میں پیاسا ہوں اماں، اب ہم نہیں آئیں گے زینب کو بتا دینا، معصوم سکینہ کو تم پانی پلا دینا، ہرگز نہ پکارے گا ہرگز نہ پکارے گا اب آپ کا یہ بیٹا، ہے میں پیاسا ہوں اماں میں پیاسا ہوں اماں، ہے میں پیاسا ہوں میں پیاسا ہوں اماں، ہے خشک گلا میرا ہے خشک گلا میرا، اور سامنے ہے دریا، یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین۔
السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله، السلام عليك يا ثار الشهداء كربلاء، خصوصا سيدي ومولاي يا أبا الفضل العباس يا ابن أمير المؤمنين، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته، السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء، السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء، السلطان يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته، السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والزمان، السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن، السلام عليك يا مظهر الإيمان، السلام عليك يا قاطع البرهان، الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان، أجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وزهورك، وجعلنا من أعوانك وأنصارك ورحمة الله وبركاته.